Siddharth Nath Singh of the BJP, Amrita Dhawan of the Congress party. Now, I have been asking the Aam Aadmi party to represent itself on the program. That empty chair is of the Aam Aadmi party. The Aam Aadmi party, since we asked them why they support Khap Panchayats, has issued a boycott of times now. This party does not like tough questions. On this subject as well, the Aam Aadmi party was told twice to explain the hypocrisy of Arvind Kejriwal asking for 2 mega palace type of bungalows and then lying to the people saying, I never wanted to live in this kind of accommodation. So Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi party, that empty chair is there. You still, if you don't want to run away from taking tough questions, come and join us. We keep that chair open for you. Medha Patkar supports the Aam Aadmi party and Arun Bhatia supports the Aam Aadmi party. Thank you very much. Medha Patkar, 2 mega 5-bedroom bungalows, each 6,000 square feet built up area, 9,000 square feet of lawns adjacent to each other, total of 12,000 square feet. Now that's Buckingham Palace type accommodation, plus 18,000 square feet of lawns. But leave that as is may. Okay, Arvind Kejriwal wanted to live lavishly, and I have the papers to prove it. He wanted to live very lavishly. My question is, why do you say one thing and do another? You say that I don't want to live like this. These people were trying to give me the house. I actually said no to it. Now, what kind of hypocrisy is this? Medha Patkar, your thoughts on it?
I think the intention is not to be doubted. The intention was to change the luxury and the comforts that the politicians were getting without any do's and don'ts. And I think a long way towards the right kind of solution would be to draw a code of conduct for all the politicians as well as bureaucrats, where the extravaganza is certainly condemnable. At the same time, as a chief minister, and when they are going into governance, I think they would realize that they would require a number of facilities and concessions.
No. How did this realization come? Because I have the Aam Aadmi Party's vision document, which has a section called How We Are Different. No. You see, the Aam Aadmi Party says we are different, right? It says how we are different. Point number 4, Medha Patkar. Arun Bhatia, let me get you in, says no MP or MLA of our party will live in opulent and luxurious government housing. Now, Arun Bhatia, look here. Look very closely, if you can. I'm holding something up. I don't know if you can see. This is the letter, okay? Now, in the letter, it is said the Chief Minister has asked for allotment of house number 6x7 and 7x7 at Bhagwan Das Road. These houses belong to DDA. It is written by the Secretary. It is written, please put this up urgently. Below it is written quickly. The letter then goes out. On the next day, Lieutenant Governor, most urgent, out today. The whole government machinery, ladies and gentlemen, working overtime to get Arvind Kejriwal 2 massive bungalows. And Arvind Kejriwal comes and says, Arun Bhatia, because, you know, I don't grudge. Let Arvind Kejriwal live in Buckingham Palace if he wants. But Arvind Kejriwal says, these houses were identified for me by the Delhi government. Right? He never says, I was asking for these houses. What is the shame in saying, okay, I want to live lavishly? I've changed the way of what I promised. And this is also within 48 hours of being sworn in. What's your answer, Arun Bhatia? Since you always support the Aam Aadmi Party.
Yeah, true. I support the Aam Aadmi Party. 110%. There's no doubt about that. Now, I'm just trying to answer on 2 small points. Number 1, one house is justified. If you look, I've lived in those houses when my father was an admiral. Lodi Estate, Safdarjung Road, Tughlaq Road, all MPs have those houses. They're all big. They're all football playing fields, every lawn, every garden. They're old houses.
1 second.
Either you demolish them and build flat.
No, let me finish.
Hey, one. No, Arnab, don't do that. Arnab, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
What am I doing?
Let the other guy talk, for God's sake. I respect your channel, but I'm giving you don't listen to a straight answer. How much is 30 seconds to give me? Too much for you? Now you listen, please. So one house is justified. The house itself is large. It's the routine standard government allotment size which is very big. Number one. Lavish living is something else. Does he put Persian carpets over there and roam around in a Mercedes? That is lavish living.
Oh,
if you get a big house with a big compound allotted by the government, let me finish.
You're changing the goalpost.
Oh, come on. You don't. How much? Why do you object to people differing with you and arguing with you? मेरे को 15 seconds और दे दो ना Arnab. क्या बिगड़ता है? So one house I say is justified. It's not lavish living. Now the second house, you have to put up a mini office in the house also because people ring up, visitors come, ye wo. So the bungalow is supposed to be for your residents plus a mini office over there, secretary, staff, security. The second house, let me finish. The second house, why he wanted it, let him give the reason. Before we condemn him, let him give the reason why he wanted a second house. That's being relevant.
No, my point is, no, 1 second. Why he can say, no, my point is, First is, you see, now Mr. Bhatia, you won't accuse me of not letting you speak. My responsibility is to ask the questions. And there are some people who, when we ask them the tough questions, run away. I must compliment you. I must compliment you for not running away.
I don't run away.
But I must say today the Aam Aadmi party, when we ask them why do you support India's Taliban, the Khap Panchayat, is it because of your political ambitions? What right does the Khap Panchayat have to be a private dispute redressal mechanism? They run away from our debates. Tonight I am asking this Manish Sisodia, Arvind Kejriwal's number 2 had said, and I quote, we are opposed to the VIP culture, and he said, we are against taking big bungalows. Now I have the proof. And that empty chair is that of the Aam Aadmi party. I have the proof tonight that Arvind Kejriwal, the chief minister himself, within 48 hours of being sworn in, and I'm sure Medha Patkar too is thinking this thing through. I know, the Medha Patkar's lifestyle is not extravagant. She would be one person who empathizes with simple living, high thinking. But here, within 48 hours, of telling the people of Delhi that main Mukhyamantri nahi bana, aap Mukhyamantri bane, Manish Sisodia says we are against taking big bungalows. You actually seek the allotment of not one but two, and not any but two specific huge mega bungalows in one part of Delhi. And then you say, I didn't ask for it. You have the temerity to then say these houses were identified for me by the Delhi government. I mean, where is honesty? Where is honesty in this? Siddharth, your response to Arun Bhatia, Siddharth and Amrita, if you want to come in.
Well, yes, thanks a lot, Arnab. It doesn't surprise us if there are. Can I complete, please, ma'am? I'm not surprised with the defense which is coming from Mr. Arun Bhatia and extras, but the reality is there is a public posturing of Arvind Kejriwal, but behind him is a VIP greed. He is caught in his own style of posturing, but at the same time, he is unable to, face times now with the tough questions that you have. And it is sad because, and more than that, Arnab, I'd like to go back a little more. He had also said that I swear on my children, and that's the worst thing to ever happen. I swear on my children, but I'll not take a support of Congress party. And now what we are seeing, he took the support of the Congress party. He applied within 48 hours of swearing in for Luton bungalows, 2 adjacents, and then he defended it also on 3rd of January, which your channel had been showing. So all these things exposes Mr. Arvind Kejriwal's austerity posturing, and at the same time, he is being also exposed of his outlandish governance record when he goes and sleeps on the streets of Delhi. So all those things has actually brought disgrace to...
Yes, Arun Bhatia,
it's not a question. The question is that Arun Bhatia, the question is the number of U-turns Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has been taking.
Talks about that is he going to only decide the norms of society?
Yeah, but we can't put everything under...
The question here is a bigger question. It's a question of self-certification. He's a person who always self-certifies everything. He's a person who wants to, who likes to pass comments from the gallery, but is finding it very difficult when the ball is on his side. So he has to be very watchful of his steps, because if he wants to have an accommodation, a big accommodation, or even if a small accommodation, whether it is government or not, it is not a matter. The question is the way he's projecting his image is different, and the way he's delivering is totally different. And that has to be, and that is being seen by the public at large, and people are realizing it now, that his constant and consistent U-turns, that is something really not so surprising, because what he has promised is so big that everybody knows that the government is not a charity shop. And that is what the Honorable President also talked about. The question here is, when he is asking a Lieutenant Governor to issue him a government flat which is big size, the measurement which has been told by Arnab, why he has to say this? He could have just said that we are looking for a government accommodation. As a Chief Minister, kindly, issue me something which is most appropriate and which is most easily sought for. But he has to specify everything, and now he got the bungalows, and now he's again taking a U-turn, he's not answering. It's something we cannot take it very lightly. It has to be really, put into the public domain. That
no,
is
you
this
find
what
this unusual?
was talking
no,
about?
Is this unusual? Medha Patkar, is this unusual? No, you see, this is not an issue about whether a Chief Minister should live in a bungalow, should live in 2 bungalows, or should live in 3 bungalows, or have 20,000 square feet of lawns. If Arvind Kejriwal wants a lot of lawns, wants 2 big houses, wants to live in a big way, do what you want. But don't claim to be otherwise. Don't say, I want the houses, somebody identified it for me. I mean, I have the letters to prove he wanted the houses. He wanted 2 specific, big, massive bungalows of the size that even many cabinet ministers and Supreme Court judges don't have.
That's strange that he...
See, Arnab,
Miss Medha Patkar,
because after all, yes, I'm saying don't get so excited about this small little thing. It is not that small if it comes
why
to
is it a small little thing? No, why is it a small little thing? No, why? Because you can because you see, when you have come to power, Miss Medha Patkar, you've come to power saying I am against the Lal Batti culture. You've come to power saying we will not live in bungalows.
See, the bungalows, yes, but maybe they have realized that it is more expensive for the government to search for the flats otherwise, while there are so many bungalows already lying. So that much difference may be there in this statement. Just give me 2 minutes and I will be gone out of the show, because I'm not boycotting Times now, but I realize now why they are boycotting it partly. I'm only saying that...
Why is that? Is it because taking straight questions is difficult, Miss Patkar? Miss Patkar, explain this to me. Explain this intolerance to me. Explain this culture of intolerance to me, Miss Patkar. Miss Patkar, on January 4th, Arvind Kejriwal said... Yes, but Miss Patkar, I'll ask you one question. I'm telling you one question. Miss Patkar,
that's all I want.
Miss Patkar, I'll ask you a straight question. You a straight question. Tell me your view. When I asked questions to the Congress party, right, when we exposed scams, all of you sat and applauded. You said, great job, good journalism. When we questioned the BJP and questioned Yediyurappa, you stood and applauded. You said, great journalism. Arvind Kejriwal says, great journalism. Today, when we are asking a party which by its own admission says Caesar's wife, like Caesar's wife, we have to be above suspicion. We have to subject ourselves to scrutiny. When we subject the Aam Aadmi party to scrutiny, they boycott us. And you two say, great. Boycott a party, boycott a channel that asks you straight questions. So what do you want, Miss Medha Patkar? You want a platform? You believe that journalism should be there only to give political parties a platform? How different... In fact, how different is the Aam Aadmi party in that case from any political party? Please explain this culture of intolerance, Ms. Medha Patkar, because it defeats me. I simply cannot understand it.
Arnab, you are so different otherwise. Viewers would understand what I mean. I would only say that if there are straight questions, you please take straight answers. And I am not against the media criticism. And I feel they would make a mistake if Aam Aadmi Party or Arvind Kejriwal, which I am not there to own everything that they say, but I think they would make a mistake if they discriminate amongst the media. That's my viewpoint, my organization's viewpoint. Coming to that straight question, whether on Khap Panchayat or on his bungalows, I think the small things are small and big are big, but the big bungalows have big lawn. Otherwise, the two bungalows are still smaller than one bungalow of Sheila Dikshit or the other chief ministers. And I think they have coming to some consensus on whether the second bungalow is on the work as a workplace they want it or not. Leave it to them. Leave it to them. And you have every right and we have every right to criticize what they are doing. I'm not against that, but I think maybe, I don't know, I'm not discussing with them all these things. What worries more is what is their position on the FDI, what is their position on the labor issues, what is their position on the displacement and development issues. That is the concern for me. But here the concern is
and their position on India's Taliban and their position on India's Taliban.
I would appeal to them that they should come to a certain code of conduct which would go even beyond the Delhi government, and this is the best time because so many assemblies and parliament elections are upcoming. And I would also say that don't take any unreasonable position or unrealistic position as far as certain concessions and requirements of the chief minister or the government. At the same time, I agree with Arun Bhatia that lavish style doesn't merely mean a large-scale bungalow or a large-scale lawn. And you cannot cut the lawn and break it into
But then you change your position.
And if the another bungalow
but then you change your position.
Let them decide that, and you have every right to criticize.
Miss Medha Patkar, I don't care, as I said, if Arvind Kejriwal chooses to make a replica of Buckingham Palace and live in it. I don't care. Maybe some people will object. I'll say, okay, maybe that's where the way he wants to live. But Arvind Kejriwal did not fight the election telling the people that I will live in bungalows. In fact, he fought the election saying I will not live in bungalows. His number 2 says we will not live in bungalows. You have a manifesto in which you say how we are different, in which you say we will not live in opulent, luxurious government housing. In 42 hours of being elected, I have proof that you want not one but 2 specific bungalows. And I'm asking you, Ms. Medha Patkar, should I not get a clear answer from the Aam Aadmi Party on this? Just as should I not get a clear answer from the Aam Aadmi Party why they support India's Taliban? It is expected for a political party to answer, Ms. Patkar.
We owe an explanation for them, and I think it is their right and their duty to do that. But I think even if they have changed the stand, they should say it so. And if the change of stand is because the other houses are costlier, then that also can be justified. And if they are going to use the second bungalow as the workplace, let them say so. I just finished this answer from my side. Let the discussion
I don't want to labour the point. No, Miss Medha Patkar, see, Miss Medha Patkar, you are not sitting the bungalow, so I can't labour the point with you. You are not the person. But all I'm saying is that if you are going to be sanctimonious about it, my view, if you are going to be sanctimonious about it and lecture the whole world about women's rights, then you should take a position against India's Taliban. When someone asks you about it, you can't be sanctimonious in response. When you have come to power saying we will not live in government housing and you choose to live in bungalows as has been proven, you can't then say now we're going to boycott channels that ask us these kind of questions and only go to channels that give us a platform. That's, in my view, that's not appropriate. But Siddharth wanted to contradict you there. Siddharth, yes please. No.
Well, Arnab, I just wanted to make a quick point here. After listening to Medha Patkar, ma'am, let me complete my, the chance has been given to us. So, Ms. Medha Patkar is making a defense for the Aam Aadmi or for Arvind Kejriwal. It definitely beats us, with that kind of an argument. But let me take it a little further because it is basically not on the living in a Luton bungalow or not. The issue is the number of U-turns or the promises he made to show that he is different and he will not agree to anything which is VIP, whether it is the police, whether it is the car, whether it is Luton bungalows. But the issue when you are raising and you have exposed them is basically one, there is a U-turn, then the second, Arnab, it is try and understand the day he was sworn in, he made a statement that I may go within 48 hours. Now, if you as a chief minister is living on a day-to-day basis and accusing others, so why should you even think about having a bungalow?
No. Amrita, before I wrap up, I have 2 minutes. Amrita, Arun Bhatia says bungalows not lavish living, but what's the real issue here in your view?
No, the real issue is that if
I think,
the,
first
when
of
we're
all,
talking
I
about
agree
the
with
government
you.
accommodations, the whole campaign of Aam Aadmi Party was against all these lavish, living style and these big bungalows, and that's how they came to the power. And now I want to, really mention this here. We have Oscar Fernandez ji, we have Meenakshi Natarajan, we have Mr. A.K. Antony ji. They are so simple living kind of people, and they are so accessible to people. They are living in government accommodation, but that kind of austerity is not seen by the, Aam Aadmi Party. But they started targeting the other kind of issues, and they're trying to create a perception which they have succeeded in. But now they are failing in every terms of theirs. Whether it is any promise you talk about water, whether it is power, whether it is government accommodation, I am just saying that as a chief minister, he is entitled to these perks and privileges, and there is no harm in having a government accommodation. The question here is that the next day itself, you're writing a document addressing to Lieutenant Governor and saying that we want this kind of a bungalow which can accommodate, which can have 5 rooms and all the big measurements which you said. And that is something really strange, and I think people who are watching this show are realizing this, the kind of a big thing through which he came in power, he's failing into that every way.
The question is not, the question is not your right to live life king size when you become chief minister. If you want to live life king size, by all means do, but then don't lecture the people of this country about on some other level, or then get all sanctimonious when you're asked questions about it. That empty chair stays. Whenever the Aam Aadmi Party wants to, it can send its representative there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for debate number 1 on the Newshour tonight.